Hello time travelers! Check out these pictures that I made in Stable Diffusion with LoRA's that I made. That's Aubrey Plaza. This is Amber Midthunder. That's Billie Eilish. This is Katie Sackhoff. I'm going to show you how to train faces like this in this video. And I'm going to show you like a recipe for how to make good LoRA's instead of just glancing over everything. This is my look of disapproval. Just like in my previous video where I showed you how to train embeddings, I'm making this video as short as possible. And that video came out to be 45 minutes about, and people said it was nice and short considering how much information I put into it. In this video, I'm actually going to be showing you all the settings you want to try to start with, what each one does, and you might want to tweak certain things and make multiple LoRA's and test each one using a script with your prompts. For example, this is when I was testing Aubrey Plaza, and LoRA training has clip skip in it, and I was comparing the clip skip in that and the clip skip when rendering it. And this is just a little screen cap from when I was doing that test to give you an idea of what I mean. Now, another way to think about it is to look at an electric guitar. I'm using an electric guitar because it's got a lot of things that change its sound. So you might guess that, okay, I don't know much about guitars, but when you think about how a guitar is built and put together, you might guess, okay, it's the pickups and the strings that will change the sound. Well, it's the combination of a bunch of factors that change the tone, as musicians call it. So you've got the kind of wood the body's made out of, will change how much vibration of the strings is absorbed by the wood. You've got how many wounds of copper are around the pickups and what kind of pickup it is. I'm not getting into magnets and double and single and all that. And you've got what kind of pots you have underneath the knobs, and you've got what switch position you're in, and you've got what kind of metal is under your bridge. And there's even more. That's just like glazing over it. Training LoRA's is like that. You got a bunch of different things that you can consider when setting up your LoRA to get your desired results. Hey, this is future me just popping in to fill a little bit of context and some more details that I realize I should have put in the video. I have all my browsers set to always ask me where to download things. Here's the setting in Firefox. All the other browsers have this setting. Just Google this setting. It's easy. You'll find it. Now I'm going to show you how to show extensions in File Explorer. This is important so you can see the different like .sh or .bat or .py files or whatever you're trying to find like for a script. In Windows 10, it's Options, View tab, and then uncheck Hide extensions for known file types. In Windows 11, it's View, Show, File Name Extensions. Ugh, Windows 11. Blah. All right, now to install the prerequisites. Obviously, if you already have Stable Diffusion installed, you're going to have Python and Git set up. When you install Python, the version you need is 3.10. So when you go to the website, don't download 3.11.4. It's 3.10, the one you want. And you can get 3.10.12, which is right there, and there's a download button. Link in the descriptables, obviously. And when you're installing it, here's just a random screen cap off the internet. You gotta check this box, add Python to path. Of course, yours will say 3.10. Whatever. And then Git, you just get the Windows version of Git. Simple as that. And its install menu, you just click next a brillion times. And then restart the computer. Restarting the computer is what makes this actually take effect when you check this box during installation of Python. And now we're going to be installing Kohya. It's what we're going to be training LoRA's in. It's on GitHub, and I have it linked in the descriptor what's it's below, obviously. The instructions are how to set it up and install it and everything are in readme.md, but I'm going to go over it. I'll have this linked in the description below, but you're going to need to install this instance of Visual Studio. It's got a bunch of versions built in one. It's real easy to install. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. In my AI stuff folder, I put Stable Diffusion, which is where I have Stable Diffusion Web UI and whatever else I need in there for my Stable Diffusion shenanigans, so I don't get confused or lose stuff. Gotta be organized! I recommend you make a folder in there and name it Kohya. Just so I can go through all the steps to install it in case any caveats or hiccups happen, you can see how to get through it. I'm gonna make another folder, Kohya-demo. And then go into that folder. And there's different ways to open CMD from this folder, but I'm actually going to show you the way that will train your mind how to use CMD better. Hey, this is future me, and I'm showing you an even better way to do this. I realize this because on my main computer that I film and edit these videos on, my AI stuff folder is on a different drive than Windows. So there's a way you can change the drive letter and the folder path at the same time with one command. I have a screenshot up showing you how to do it. The command is cd space /d, which is a switch that means I'm changing drives, then space, double quote, paste in the path, and put a double quote at the end of that and press enter. A lot of people are telling you to go up here and hit CMD and then hit enter, and that works too, but then you can't hit alt back to go to the previous folder sometimes. No, I remembered later what it was. If you type CMD in the address bar of File Explorer, then later on when you try to copy paste that path, it copies the path of CMD, which is like C Windows System 32, cmd.exe. When I'm trying to copy paste, for example, the path to a folder that I have in stable diffusion over to Kohya so that I can start training. Changing directories and command line should be something you guys know how to do. That's why I'm going over that. Now, according to this, we're going to use git to download it, which is this command. We're going to copy paste it. And just wait for that to go. It's really quick. And then this command is changing directories, just like we did up here to change into this folder. Because this cloned a folder. We're going to change directories so we're in that folder now. And then I only need this bit, I think, just to set up .bat. .backslash is like a PowerShell thing. I'm in the regular command line window. So let's see if this works. Set up .bat. Yep, that's working. It's creating the environment. And then you see this menu, and it's real simple. You just type 1 and press enter. And then you want Torch 2, which is the newer version. Just hit 2 and hit enter. I hate it when I'm making a video and I install something and it takes a while. This takes a while. So for you, walk away and go do something else while it's doing this part. For me, I'm using another computer to generate images, basically to promo this channel on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're interested and you're not already following me on one of those places, whenever I'm messing around and I'll get a good prompt, I'll generate a whole bunch and let it run overnight and then save a few and stick it on, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like this is LoRA's that I made, that I combined a bunch of LoRA's together to make this unique face. And it came out with this interesting skin texture. It's an example, and this is just my Facebook. There's another one, there's another one. And sometimes I'll put, enjoy this random thing, which are jokes that are random and funny. And I'll also link to my videos so you can see if there's something you're interested in watching. Are you done yet, thing? Anyways. So when you get down to this part, it says, which compute environment are you running? And I just hit enter, and I guess it chose this machine, which is fine, whatever. And no distributed training unless you have multiple GPUs on the system. And I don't even know what TPU is. Tell me in the comments if you know what it is. I'm curious. And type no for CPU only. I guess that's a crazy slow way to do it if you don't have an NVIDIA GPU. Okay. Do you wish to optimize your script using Torch Dynamo? According to instructions I saw, they said no. Do you want dupe speed? No. I'm looking over here because I wrote the instructions from a bunch of stuff I researched. What GPUs by ID should be used for training on this machine? All, even though I told it not to do distributed, I guess. So this one's kind of interesting. I think this is just a default choice when you're doing the floating point choice, mixed precision as it were. FP16 is a little bit better and a little bit faster, but a tiny bit, and it only works on RTX cards, so RTX 2000, 3000, 4000. Since I have an RTX 3080 Ti, I'm going to choose that. Otherwise, you're going to want to hit BF16. You can always run the installer again and change it, by the way, if something messes up. Now here's the optional installation for CUDNN 8.6, and this one is a performance improvement for RTX 3000 and 4000 GPUs. So again, I have a 3080 Ti, so I can use it. I'm going to show you how to install it. There's this little link right over here. You click that, download comes up, and I'm going to paste in the path to the folder where I have Kohya and save the zip folder. Go over to it, wait for it to download, obviously. When it's done downloading, you want to right click it, hit properties, hit unblock, and hit OK. Otherwise, all the files inside will be blocked. Open up that thing, and you're going to see the CUDNN_Windows folder. Go into your Kohya_SS folder and just drag it over. Simple as that. Wait for this to do all its things. Go back to your CMD window and put setup.bat again. And it says select the option to install CUDANN, which is number 2. And that's it. Now we are going to install Booru Dataset Tag Manager. In the previous video where I showed you how to train embeddings, we had to manually go in every single text file and check the tags that were in there and then fix them. I just found out about this tool while writing the script for this video. Well, this is the tool that makes that a whole bunch easier. Now you go back up your stable diffusion folder, right click, hit new for folder, and make a new folder named Booru Dataset Tag Manager. Go into that folder and you're going to go to a different GitHub repo. This is something that's going to make it easier when you're prompting your images for the images to be flexible. It's not 100% required if you're just trying to make a few random pictures of a specific person, but I'm still going to go over it. In this case, you don't want to hit the code drop down because they've got all the versions that you want over here under releases. You want the one that says netcore all include.zip. So click that. Go over this Booru Tag Set Manager folder you just made, copy paste the path over here, and hit save. This one downloads really fast. I'm gonna right click that and hit properties and hit unblock. So when I unzip the files, they won't be blocked. Open it up, and I'm gonna open up this folder, and I'm just gonna grab everything and just drag it over here. And then I'm going to shift delete the original zip file that I downloaded. And when you run it, it's just this exe file, and it looks like a whole lot of nothing, but we're going to be using that later. So if you haven't yet, make a training folder. I put it inside of my main stable diffusion folder. All my stable diffusion stuff is in there, and make a folder called training. The reason is you want to be organized so you don't get lost amongst the like sea of folders on your hard drive. Now we want to download regularization data. What that does is, I'm not sure, it makes your images better as part of the training process. It looks at other pictures that are not your model that are the class prompt. So in this case, I did female actresses, so it's going to be woman. There's this place on GitHub that I found, and you just hit code and download zip. I've already downloaded the zip. It's this zip file right here. When you open it up, you'll see this folder. You just drag it out into your training folder, and then you'll have this. And if I open that up, you'll see you've got Stable Diffusion 2.1 and 1.5. And for the purposes of this video, I'll be using the 1.5 folder, and I'll be using the woman class prompt. And this particular guy, he's a saint. He's the GOAT for making all these. Because there's 5,000 pictures in here, which is plenty to regularize your training for your LoRA. Now we're going to prepare the data set of images. I've got a folder here where I do mine called celebrities, and 9 of these are ones I did already. This is for a future video. I'm going to see if this other script I found on GitHub will help me analyze LoRA's to see if they're overtrained. Make sure you're subscribed so you can see how that works out. And I've decided to do Jennifer Lawrence because I saw that somebody had a LoRA on Civet AI. I'm going to see if I can make a better one. So make a folder for whoever face you want to train. Go in there and make a new folder and called Original Pics. And if you've seen my video about how to make embeddings, you basically want at least 20 pictures of the person. And I saw some videos that, I'm sorry to whoever created the videos, they were very difficult to watch, but I grabbed a bunch of information out of them and made notes. And this individual, he was doing 5 half-body pictures. And I know why I do that. It's so that the AI can learn the shape of the person. For example, check out these Billie Eilish pictures I generated. They got the shape of her without me having to prompt like the size of her body or, you know, this area that I'm not going to say the word. And it was impressive, very impressive, even though the source data that I put in didn't really show that much. Check out the source pictures I put in. It was able to figure that out just from like stuff like this. So we're going to do Jennifer Lawrence pictures. I'm just going to copy paste her name off of here. Go to images.google.com. I'm going to start with Jennifer Lawrence Instagram. That's super pixelated, don't want. Is there a better version of this picture? Ah, stupid Instagram. So that's why you want to download them right off of here. And if it doesn't look good, if it's pixelated, don't waste your time. Here's a good one. I'll go back to my folder, copy paste the whole path to the original pics folder. Like that. And just hit save. I'm clicking through these. Anything's pixelated, I'm going to skip. What about IMDb? Sometimes they have high def pics. I can use that one. Save. One of the things you need to keep in mind while I'm downloading all these, I'm just going to talk, is you don't want a bunch of shadows or shading or anything blocking the person's face. If you can find a mixture of them smiling and other ones where they're doing a normal face, that's good too. There's a smiling one. And angles, this is an angle. You have to see, this would be a better picture if it were wider, because I can do like mid-frame, but if I do a square right here, it's just gonna get her shoulders. Now some pictures like this looks like it might be a little bit grainy. If you go to the video where I did how to get ready to train embeddings, I show you how to install some high-res scalers, and then if you look at the embeddings video, I show you how to clean up JPEGs. Some of them you can clean up, not all of them, to get rid of all the pixelization. Another search you can do is putting their name followed by the name of the movie they were in. So the one I saw recently was called Don't Look Up, which is pretty funny if you want to watch it. Download some good looking pictures from there. Now I don't want this one because someone's blocking her. And you don't want this one because multiple people are in there, and if I crop down to there, it'll be really low res. Another search query you can put is HD wallpaper. Now obviously if you're training your own face, it should be so much easier. You can just... I did this video where I deep faked my face onto my son and my son's face onto me, and in that video, in order to train the model for that particular AI, I just stood in front of a green screen and did this, like that, and filmed myself, and I just did like this, like that, done a bunch of different angles. And if you have other pictures of yourself that are super clear, that would work. And ask me if I should do a video on training my own face, because I still haven't done that yet. That's what led me down this rabbit hole to begin with.
I just really want to see where this rabbit hole leads.
This is a good one. Oh, these are WEP files. I'm going to show you how to fix those. So you make sure your view of the files is in list mode like this, and you sort it by type. And now I've got all the WEP files in there, and you want to go ahead and install the GIMP. I'll show you what the page looks like, and I'll link it in the descriptor to help you guys. Download GIMP directly. Click that, and then you just save it and run it. Think of it as a free Photoshop equivalent. Oops, I opened OBS. I don't want to update right now. Go away. You're not in this scene. I opened you by mistake. There's GIMP, and you grab your WEP files and just drag them over. So I got all these WEP files open. All I gotta do is hit Shift-Control-E, and it's already in the correct folder, and just type the correct extension. And someone said in a comment on a previous video, you just go to the original file and change the extension. No, it does not change it from its format. The data that's in the file from a WEP to a PNG. You have to do this. And GIMP is the easiest way for me to convert these. Control-W when you're done with the file, do the next one, Control-Shift-E, end, backspace, backspace, PNG, enter, enter, wait for the progress thingy, what's it? Control-W to close that one. Now all the PNGs are in here. I can open a command prompt window to this folder and type del space star.wbp. So be super careful with the delete command. Double check it by reading it to make sure you're doing the right thing. And what I'm doing is deleting all WP files. Boop. And they're gone. Now I want to go to view settings, Alt View, and hit large icons. That's going to be different on Windows 11. Notes say I want 12 close-up, 5 half-body, and 3 full-body. So I'm going to double-check that I have those. I don't think I have any full-body, so let's go back to looking. Let's see if full-body pics will get me some. There's a couple. It says it's 2000 by 3185 pixels. That's good. And I can use this one for a good half-body. Grab that. There's a full-body. This is full-body, but when you cut it to be a square, it's going to be a half-body. Is that Jennifer Lawrence? What is this? Panache lingerie. Celebrity focus, Jennifer Lawrence. With this picture that isn't Jennifer Lawrence? What? Get off my screen. Hey, that's Lexica. That's an AI generated image. Haha. Can't use this because that's her from X-Men. I'm gonna go up here and type minus Lexica. So I don't see any of those results. Give me a square image. I'll take this one for a half body. This one might work. We'll just take that and see what happens. So I'm gonna throw these into Burmy, link in the description. I'm just gonna hit Control A in here and drag and drop them into the Burmy website. I have this over here set to 512 by 512. Sometimes I actually prep an image by cropping it a little bit first in GIMP, but I'm going on my rule that I said earlier, which is 12 close up, 5 half body, 3 full body, to see if I can get better images from doing that. And the more images, the better, and I actually hit the jackpot with this particular actress because there's a lot of pictures of her online, whereas some actresses don't have that many. And you see what I'm doing because I'm just rambling blah blah blah, while you could see that I'm lining these up because some of these could be better close-ups. Like let's say this one, Jennifer Lawrence 01347. I'll close that, find it in here, take it over to GIMP. I'll hit this button over here in the corner, right click it, make sure it's rectangle, and then start drawing it and hold shift so it forces it to be a square, and let go at a certain spot, and then grab right, no. I messed up. Shift, square, grab it in the middle and then move it. And then, what is it? Image, crop to selection. So it's Alt-I-C. And then Control-Shift-E. Replace. Replace, 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 replace. When I'm done with that, I'm gonna hit Control-W, Tab, discard changes, because I don't need to save a project. And I'll put this back in over here. I'll make sure it went down there. All right, there's sort of mid-frame one, mid-body, whatever you call it. Actually, I think I'm going to crop all of these right here. So I'm gonna take these to GIMP. Oh, convert, that's a color thing, whatever. I trust you, GIMP. You never done me wrong. Alt-I-C, Control-Shift-E, enter, enter, enter. Discard. And I'm going to do the same for all of these pictures. One thing to keep in mind is the resolution once they're done has to be 512 by 512 or greater. Again, I told you guys earlier about my embedding videos. I go over how to make them bigger and upscale them if you need to, especially if you got grainy pixels. Now, since I've done so many, I'm going to hit this button in Burmy, which removes all of them, and then I'm going to put them all back in. And I honestly, this seems like it's tedious, but it's the way that's easy for me, so I can tell when I've achieved my goal of having 12 close-up, 5 half body, and 3 full body. Keep in mind that if you do have more pictures, you can adjust as needed. For example, if you found 40 images, it would be 24, 10, and 6. But you don't have to be exact, is my point. But use that as a rule of thumb. Now I'm done setting up all these pictures. I only had to take them out and put them back in one more time. And I'm going to hit save as zip and go up one folder and save the 512 by 512 set. And I'm going to make another set of 768 by 768. And hit save as zip, save. And for this video, I'm actually going to be doing 768 because even though Stable Diffusion 1.5 works best with rendering 512 by 512, I found with LoRA's, if you train them at 768 by 768, you get great results. So I'm going to right click that, and because I have WinRAR, I can hit this option, which makes a new folder for me, just like that. I'm going to go over to Kohya now, and we're going to start doing the setup for the training. So this is how you run Kohya. You open up a command line and change directories to the path where you have Kohya installed. Again, it's cd space /d space double quote, and then put in the full path to where you have it installed and another double quote and press enter. Then once you're in there, type GUI.bat and press enter. Wait a little bit, and when you see the URL, it's done loading. So now I'm going to copy paste that URL over here. You can bookmark it if you want. And just a quick overview. Here's your dream booth, which is for making checkpoint models, which we're not doing because we want to be able to apply this LoRA to any model. You're going to be using mainly this tab right here and this one. First you click this LoRA tab right here, And now we will be choosing the model for training. And this is already built in. It's the Stable Diffusion version 1.5 that the website Runway ML has. It's pretty good. If you want to use your own, you hit custom. So here's the awkward thing. If you choose your own model, you can't go back. But I'll show you how to go back. But if you want to choose your own model, you hit this little icon right there, and you navigate to your Stable Diffusion folder, Stable Diffusion Models, and then Stable Diffusion inside of your Models folder. And then here, I'll expand this so you can see it better. So, Stable Diffusion folder where I have all my stuff, Stable Diffusion Web UI, Models, Stable Diffusion. So if I wanted to use the SD 1.5, you would probably want this one. This is the one for training. And this other one is the one for generating images. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go up here and refresh this and use the one that's built in. Now, I'm going to show you something that I just noticed. This is the older version that I had installed before today. If you're going to be using a 1.5 based model for your training, you want both of these boxes to be unchecked. If you're going to be using a 2.0, you want only this box checked. If you're going to be using a 2.1, you want both of these to be checked. And this newer version of Kohya doesn't have these checkboxes, so I'm going to assume that it doesn't need them. Maybe it auto-magically decides? You see how it says Dream Booth LoRA on the old version, and it says LoRA on the new version. I'm going to go ahead and say this now in case you're watching this training after you've already learned how to do this, and also so that you know this is the easiest way to do it. Once you set up a good configuration file that works for you, for the kind of style that you do, you want to save it as a config file and then open it at the beginning of every training and then just change it for whatever you want to change for that model, because it's going to save you a ton of time. So you just expand the configuration file thingy and hit open. And then I have mine in my training folder in the LoRA configs folder. An AI entrepreneur or whatever, the guy with the scathing AI voice that I can, gives me the heebie-jeebies. Sorry. I learned a lot of stuff from his videos. Anyways, he had these, and then I opened these up and read them and figured out what all the settings did. That's what made me want to make this video. But I'm going to load this one, because it's the last one I did. And it puts a bunch of stuff in, but we're going to go over that in a second. Now we want to prepare the folders. Now this is interesting. On the old version, if you go to the Dream Booth LoRA tab, and then Tools, and then Dream Booth LoRA folder preparation, you could tell it a few things and it would set up all your stuff for you. This is a little frustrating because the new version doesn't have this. If I go to Dream Booth LoRA, well, LoRA, and then Tools, I don't see any of this. Depreciated? Oh, yes, here we go. Don't depreciate this. It's my favorite thing. I'll show you why. So I'm in this folder. Again, it's LoRA, Tools, Depreciated, Dream Booth /LoRA folder preparation. Get the folder where your source images are, and we're going to copy paste that into training images. And then the regularization images that we got earlier, we want those as well. And in this case, I'm going in SD 1.5 and then woman. And I'm going to copy paste that. And the reason why this makes it easier because you can do your num repeats right here. The repeats is how many times does the training use each image in your data set towards the training. And here's the math how it works. Blah, 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 100 steps per image with a total of at least 1,500 steps. So 1,500 steps. So if you only had 10 images, you would want your repeats to be 150. So if I open up calculator and divide 1,500 divided by 20, it would be 75 repeats. In this case, I've got 36 pictures, which is 1,500 divided by 36. And that gives you 41 whatever. So maybe you would put 42 repeats. So just for the case of this video, I'm going to put 42 and see if that works. But all the images you saw earlier, I used 100 for all of them. Destination training directory. So this is where it's going to make all the folders. I'm going to go up out of the Jennifer Lawrence folder and make a new folder called LoRA. Like so. Hit enter, Alt-D to go up there and copy paste it here. Now, this is a whole optional thing because, for example, it copies the 5,000 images from one place to another place. Watch. Instance prompt. Oops, sorry, I skipped a step. You don't want to skip this. And I don't know another way to do it without having this particular menu. You can leave this blank for the regularization images and then make the folder manually so that you're not duplicating your regularization images every time you make a new model. This is future me here. I ended up filling up my SSD later, and it was from all the replicated regularization data folders and dozens of LoRA testing that I've been training for an upcoming video. So I ended up moving all that stuff to a terabyte hard drive. But anyways, so in this case, go to your regularization folder and you're going to be renaming something. I made a new folder called woman-training-folder, and then I copied the woman folder into it, and I renamed it one_woman. What the one underscore with woman after the name does is it tells the script that we're only going to be doing 1 repeats on the images in that folder, and also that the class prompt is woman. And I forgot to say this earlier when I was recording, but for the instance prompt, I like to put first name underscore last name, which is a unique name that Stable Diffusion won't confuse for anything else. I've seen other videos where other people put letters and numbers together to make a weird name, and I just think that's weird. How, in the future, am I supposed to remember that I changed some celebrity's name to some letters and numbers and what? But anyways, over here in class prompt, you want to put woman, because that's going to match this folder where that person did all that work for us to save all those pictures of women that he generated. Hit prepare training data, and it starts making folders. See, it copied all these images over, and this is an interesting thing. This is not one of the selectable parameters in the training because the number at the beginning of the folder is what tells Kohya how many times to repeat each image in that folder. And in a more advanced training would have multiple folders here, and they would be called buckets, and you would be telling Kohya how many times to repeat the images in each folder. So like you have a 42 one and a 100 one and a 12 or whatever. But as you could see, the regularization data was copied as the one_woman, which the one comes from here. And since there are literally 5,000 pictures in here, we're not going to want to repeat any of those because it will overtrain and the faces will be blurry. I tested it. Here's an example of me overtraining it with too many regularization steps or whatever. The eyes and the face aren't coming out quite right. There's some glitches going on with the hair. It doesn't look quite natural. And here's an even more worser's one. Yeah, nightmare fuel right there. Once you're done with that, you hit this button, Copy Info to Folders tab. Click that, go over to LoRA and then Training, and then Folders. And you're going to see that it put all your stuff right here. Now, these things are loaded from when I hit open the configuration file earlier. I'm going to update them. I'm going to put Jennifer Lawrence for the file name. Well, it says model output name, but it means the LoRA file. And I personally recently was doing testing with 768 and 768. That means training off of 768 by 768 images as the first part. And the second part is max resolution, which you're going to see in a moment. Okay, future me again. This is the LoRA file name that it makes. I like the file name to start with the instance prompt, which is first name underscore last name in this case. Why I mentioned the 768-768 part at the end is because of the test I was doing. In my next video, when I test multiple parameters in Kohya, you'll see that my LoRA files all have different names that indicate what I was testing. If you're going to be making unique LoRA files to compare them, this is where you're going to put the name so that when you put the LoRA files into your Stable Diffusion models LoRA folder and then you use extended networks to search for them, you could see which ones are different. And also do different tests, like this script test that I did right here where I've got the different clip skip names on the LoRA files. And then after you've got your model output name set up, copy paste just the first name and last name and the underscore. And put this into the training comment. Later on, I'm going to be figuring out how to check keywords inside of LoRA's, and this will remind you how to do it. If you're not duplicating your regularization folder from every time you train a model, you're just going to copy paste the full path. Well, not just that. You have to rename the folder that says woman with one_woman, and then you don't give it that full folder. You have to have this sitting in a folder by itself, and you give it this top folder that it's in. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Go away, shortcut, you're not in this scene. What I mean by top folder is the folder that it's in. So now we're going to be doing keywords. And while you're here, just grab this path to the image folder by copying it and go to Utilities. And I've tested all of these, and I actually, one of the things I learned in the video I was watching earlier today is that this one is the better one in terms of being able to modify the tags inside so that the model is flexible. And what I mean is flexible is that, say for example, your entire data set as that particular person is blonde hair and you want to be able to change the hair color later. This was me actually testing that same theory to see if I can change her outfit to something silver and shiny and her hair to pink and blue. This is Katie Sackhoff, by the way. And I did 3 epochs. This is epoch 1, epoch 2, epoch 3, and here's the seeds. And so going down a column, the seed is the same, and it seemed to be okay. It wasn't inflexible, but just in case, I'm going to show you guys how to do this. All you got to do is paste in the folder path to there and prefix to add to WD4 caption. This is optional, but I recommend doing this. It's the same thing, so that's easier to say this is Jennifer Lawrence, just like that. And I did the same with when I did these other captioning types, and it had good results. Postfix, we're not doing that. We're not changing any of these other things, and you just hit caption images. And you can watch the progress of the script in the console here. And here's a frustrating thing. It has to download models the first time you go to use it. This is my look of disapproval. And I did that wrong. Oops. Because I went in here and there's no captions. I need the full path to where the actual pictures are, genius. Caption the images. And now that I already have these models downloaded, it should go much faster. Here we go. Found 36 images. Okay, so the other captioning options are much quicker than this, but if what my research says is true, this is better. And it's done. So let's see what we got. Bunch of text files are next to the images. So now we're gonna go to Booru Dataset Manager, which I had you guys set up earlier, and go File, Load Folder, paste in the path, and hit Enter, and Enter again. I'm going to maximize that. This left column is your pictures. The middle column is the currently selected picture, what tags are inside of it. And the right column are tags that are in every picture. So if I'll go back to this folder and demonstrate, it says Jennifer Lawrence, one girl solo. I should have put Jennifer Lawrence, comma. So I'm going to go fix that. I'm actually going to overwrite all of these. I'm going over here and putting Jennifer Lawrence, comma. Caption images. I'm learning with you guys in this video. Now let's check them. Now there's a comma right there. Good. I'm going to load that folder again. And it's showing this tag. I'll go to View, Show Preview. Resize your preview, what's it? And here's a little trick. You put it on the left side so that it doesn't cover these tags. And you just click right here and go down with your keyboard. And double check that these don't have anything that's going to make your model inflexible later. For example, this brown hair, blonde hair, long hair, that's good. That means if I leave these keywords out, it's going to think that all of these belong to Jennifer Lawrence. And every time I try to do Jennifer Lawrence, she's going to get blonde hair, brown hair, long hair. This says black hair. Okay, that's good. And I'm just going to go through all of these and make sure they look good. Now here's one where it says this, and this is not in there. So I just press the delete button on the keyboard, or I can hit this X button over there. And if I want to add a keyword, I can just hit plus. Or if I want to change something, can I change this one? Oh, just press F2 and then home. Well, that's a black denim jacket. Is that a thing? I don't know. Whatevs. When I hit that down again, it says the list of tags has been changed. Save changes. I'm going to hit yes. And it updates the file. Alright, I'm done with that. I didn't have to do many of these because most of them were good. And if you see anything over here on the right column, because this is the alt tags column that you want to add or you want to remove, you can do that the same way with the same buttons. And when you're done, you hit File and then Save All Changes. Now you're going to go to the LoRA tab and then to Training and then Parameters. Now we're going to be going over all the parameters. That's right, not parameters, parameters. Which is the Parameters tab. Presets is new, I don't know what that is. LoRA type is standard. I will be doing LoRA and Locon in a future video, so make sure you subscribe for that and change the bell because none option is the default and won't notify you. It's kind of stupid. The first thing you want to make sure is set right is LoRA type is standard. Training batch size 2 works real well. And here is some testing I did so you can see amount of VRAMs. Amount of VRAMs. How much VRAM each one used. So batch size 2 used 7. And batch size 4, I don't know why, it went down a little bit, but it's probably between 7 and 8. And batch size 8 did about 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So if your GPU has 8 gigabytes of VRAM, run that and then check the console and you'll see how that works while it's training to see if it crashes or not, and then go back down. It doesn't have to be increments of 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. That's just a nice geeky computer way for me to test. So by the way, all of these are 512 by 512 training. And batch 32 did work on the 3080 Ti because it has a little bit more than 12 gigs of VRAM. And on my 3090, on actual rig that I'm recording this video on, I did batch 32 training with 768 by 768 and it used all 24 gigs of my RAM. And it took 2 times longer to train. So that's just an FYI for you guys. In this case, we're just gonna leave it at 2 because I used 2 for most of them. Epoch is really cool. Epoch is a way to do more steps and have it save separate files so you can test each one. Check out this great explanation of epochs that I found, and I'll put this link in the descriptable so you can read it yourself. I just hit Control F and typed epoch down here, and you probably can't see it on the bottom left corner, but you know, whatever web browser you have has a search box by hitting Control F, and put epoch in there. Find this number of steps / epochs. So when we were training embeddings, I showed you how to do max steps and how to output an embedding file every 50 steps and then analyze each one so you can find the point where it's overtrained and then grab the one that's not overtrained and use that one. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. If you got any tips or ideas how to check if a LoRA is overtrained, tell me in the comments. But I've got some scripts that I found on a GitHub repo that I've been testing. So you definitely want to see that video when I make that. But in this case, the number of steps is calculated. So however many images you have in here, so in my case, how many do we got? We've got 36 times the number of repeats, whatever I said, times the number of epochs. That's the total number of steps. So 36 times 42. 36 times 42. And that's going to give you just over 1,500 steps, which is perfect. But just so we can demonstrate, I'm going to change epoch to 2. Normally, I use 1. Save every n epochs is what you want, so you can have different files you can test. And I'm wondering if you can put 0.5 or something there. That's something to be tested later. I can only do so much in one video. Now, mixed precision is floating point math stuff. BF16 works really well and is fast. FP16 may work better for you if you have an RTX card. Save precision means how precise it's saving it to the LoRA file, and it's going to make a different size file. Again, I'm using the FP16 because I have an RTX card. All of these I leave at default. Learning rate schedule, learning rate warm-up, and optimizer. I leave these all alone because I see most people not mess with these. They don't really change it much. What it changes is the learning rate. All 4 of these work together with the learning rate. If you remember from my embedding video, sometimes you want to train quickly and then slow down. In case of doing LoRA's, it's not that important. Optimizer changes some of the, I don't know if it's calculus or what, that goes into figuring out the learning rate through the steps. Here's your max resolution, and it's 768, 768 for that size. If you want 512, 512, put 512, 512. Leave that one alone. This is if you have multiple sets of pictures in here with different resolutions in each one. So your source images, in this case, don't necessarily all have to be square, but all the ones in each folder have to be the same resolution and shape. So for example, I would have all my 768 by 768s in one folder, and let's say I had another folder of 512 by 768s, a bunch of pictures like that, etc. These 2 are optional. I haven't had to mess with them. With Lohan and Loka, from my research, you will be doing these. Network rank and network alpha, the higher the better. Most people that I saw in like Reddit and stuff were putting 128 into both, and one guy on YouTube was putting 200. It's the higher is better, but then there's a point of diminishing returns where it doesn't help you. That's from my testing what I saw. In a future video, I will be doing comparisons of all these different parameters and showing you grids of what each one looks like. Advanced configuration, you're going to want this part, definitely. Gradient accumulation steps. What that means is that every time it takes a step, how much work it puts into training during that step. That's just the short end of it. I have had good success with putting 3 here. You can try different numbers in your testing, and I will be showing a comparison grid in the next video. The next one's clip skip right here, and I've had a lot of success with putting 2 there. This is not the same as the clip skip when you're generating images. I did testing and I found that putting 2 here worked really well. You can try 1, 2, or 3 if you want. Check out this preview from my upcoming video where I compare these. The columns are the different clip skips during training, 1, 2, and 3. And the rows are the clip skips from generating the images. Use X-formers, gradient checkpointing, and memory efficient attention are all tweaks to make it use less memory during training, so you don't want those to be checked. These are bucket options when you're using multiple folders in the image folder thing. We don't need to worry about those because we're not using buckets, which is unchecked earlier. See? Unchecked. I just did Control F and found it. And that's pretty much it. At this point, I recommend you save it by scrolling up to the top, hitting Save As, and double-clicking on the file, or this Save button, just hitting Save without having to deal with the menu coming up, that works too. I recommend that when you're trying exotic settings or settings you haven't tried before, that you use Save As and save it as a unique name. That lets future you know what you were testing in that one. You can also use the Save As button to save the settings file to the same folder for your training for your person or style LoRa or whatever, so that you can have it for later just in case. Scroll back down to the bottom, hit Train Model. And this is where you keep an eye on it. The first time you do go to train a LoRa, it's going to download models like this. So, I guess I'm just going to go play around with Stable Diffusion on my other machine so that I can put more stuff on my social networking pages. And this is the part where it caches latents. And it only takes, you know, like 4 minutes or whatever. But every LoRa training it has to do this. Alright, this is the actual training that it does. And it says epoch 1 of 2 because I set it to 2 on the epoch earlier. Your ETA is going to be down here. This first part is the amount of time that has passed. And this is how much is left on the training. 2 hours and 37 minutes for me. And the reason is because of all my optimizations that I did in the parameters that make the LoRa come out better. It's going to take a while. So for me, I'm actually going to go to bed and I'm going to record the rest of this video tomorrow. Hey time travelers, it's future me next day or whatever. Look what I running overnight when I went to bed. I tried an experiment with Amber Mid Thunder and Billie Eilish put together with some weights using the instance prompts from the LoRA's up here with different weights down here. I have a question for you guys. Do you want me to do a video on how I combine LoRA's with weights? Oh, there's one of the accidental results. And I also used wildcards to determine what kind of armor she was wearing without me deciding. I just used a text file with random stuff in it for it to choose, and also the scene. Tell me if that's what you want. So beg in the comments what you want me to do in a future video.
Please.
So this is what it looks like when a LoRA training is done. It just says steps 100% with a full bar, and Kohya doesn't have anything to show you that it's done. And wherever you put your output folder here, that's where the LoRA files are going to be. And since I told it to do 2 epochs, there are 2 files here actually. This 0000001 is the first epoch. And just to make it easier for myself, here in a minute, I'm going to do this. Rename it. So I know that's epoch 2. I'm going to grab these and copy paste them. And go to my Stable Diffusion Web UI folder, then Models, and then Stable Diffusion, and paste them. There is not enough space on the local disk. Ha! Alright, I've got all my training data off of my main Windows SSD, moved over to my 1 terabyte hard drive, and I've moved the 2 LoRA files out of there into my Models Stable Diffusion folder. Now here's the part where you test your LoRA's, and I recommend the model called Realistic Vision to do that. And I've just now loaded up Stable Diffusion, so let's run that. And check it out. Realistic Vision version 5 just came out today. See, 17 hours ago, my lucky number. So I'm gonna load that up. In the meantime, I'm gonna grab this image, it looks interesting. Save it. And what I like to do, and I do this with my embeddings as well, is keep my prompt idea in the same folder where the embedding or the LoRA whatever is, which is this folder. So I'm gonna copy paste this path into here and press home on my keyboard and type out prompt idea. Now go to stable diffusion. Oh, gotta tab out of that box so it saves what I chose. So annoying. PNG info, click there to open, paste the path, open the prompt idea. I said open the prompt idea. Why'd you make me do 3 tries on the double click? Anyways, send text to image. Now I just generate off of the basic prompt from here because sometimes these prompts don't work. Sometimes you gotta go find other LoRA's or embeddings that they used off of the internet. And sometimes it just doesn't work at anywhere close to what you think it should be, or they have ridiculous resolutions that you have to fix. So I'm checking the console. It's not saying that I'm missing anything. It'll say it right here above the progress. That looks really, really close. Really close. So I'm gonna stick with that because that's gonna give me good results. All right, here's my test render, and it kind of looks like her, but not really, and I'll show you how to fix it. So I remember I told you earlier about the instance prompt and how I put a keyword at the beginning of each image with her first name underscore last name. You put that at the beginning and render it again. Let's see how much better it gets. That's a little freaky right there. Let's try turning the weight down of this to 0.7, which is, in my experience, the highest you really want to go. And for all I know, it might be the new Realistic Vision that just came out. And it is still being weird. Let's try Realistic Vision version 4. Tab out of there so it keeps it. Press Control Enter when that's done so that it'll render something. Okay, that's much better. But I'm wondering if Realistic Vision didn't fully download because my hard drive was full. Whatever. I'll figure that out later because I'm going to show you the next step. It's a test with a detailer. If you don't know about a detailer, please check this card right up here so that you can check that video out after you're done watching this one. But it's way better than restore faces. So I'm just going to check this. I'm not going to do anything in a detailer prompts for this test. You also notice that I'm not doing highres.fix because all I'm doing is testing the LoRA. In the meantime, while that does that, I'm going to open up this folder because I have my a detailer set up to generate both the image before and the after when it fixes the face. All right, this is before and that's after. That's pretty good. Turn it back off to save a little bit of time. And I'm going to show you just a quick rundown of how to do a script test. If you've done multiple LoRA's, say for example, you're testing different settings, you go to script and you change it to XYZ plot. You leave this to say seed, S-E-E-D, S-E-E-D if you have to type it, and then tab out of there. Type -1, comma, and then I copy paste that a few times. I like to do 5. Take the comma off the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. And what -1 is random seed. Then I change the Y type to prompt/SR. Tab out of there. And I'll grab this right here. Type that, comma, space, and change it to what I know will work for the other LoRA, but its name is different for all those other characters. I'll show you what I mean. These are my 2 LoRA files, how I named them earlier, and each one has their own thing to put into prompt like this. And what we're doing by using prompts find and replace is replacing this text with this text. And when it renders, it's going to do both of these. So I'm going to have 2 rows with 5 columns. Let's render that to see the results. In the meantime, I'm going to go to this Jennifer Lawrence LoRA that I found on Civit AI and download it and compare it to mine. This seed over here is crazy hair seed. But from what I can see, they look pretty much exactly the same. If you want to do further testing, you would do crazy prompts to see if it's overtrained or not. Like, let's say, purple hair, wearing bikini, I guess. I don't know. None of the training data has a bikini. It just popped into my head. Let's try that. Well, all of them seem to kind of put bikinis on her. Kind of, except for this seed. They all did the correct hair. Let's open this in a new tab and zoom in and see if there's any details between this generation and the one directly below it. I don't really see any problems, except for the face being too big. Especially if you look at this one, her body's too small. So if you experience that, you're going to want to edit your training data, the actual pictures that you have to have more like mid-frame and full body pictures. And this is something I just actually figured out yesterday after I quit recording. A great way to test if it's overtrained is to do full weight on it. So I'm going to try it with a 1. Now this LoRA that I downloaded from Civit AI that I'm going to be testing in a moment, it doesn't have a good name that I'm going to be able to remember. So I'm going to rename it at the beginning. That's just my preference. Jennifer Lawrence _ I need to be able to type what I think it is in here. So let's hit refresh, type Jennifer. And there it is right there. So this LoRA does not look overtrained. They all look good. Otherwise there'd be weird artifacts on her face and stuff. If you guys know any other ways to check a LoRA to see if it's overtrained or inflexible, tell me in the comments. But I'm going to click this one. And I'm just going to copy both of these. Since Epoch 1 and 2 are basically the same, I'm not going to even have Epoch 2 in it. And this is how you test multiple ones. You go between them and replace the space with a comma. And I'm going to test both with 0.7. 0.7 like that. Copy this. Go down to my scripts section under prompt SR and paste it in. And then remove the second one that I added there. And I've done this with testing like 6 faces at once and comparing them with the same prompt. And I'm hitting Control Enter. And I did a mistake. It said it could not find this in the prompt or negative prompt because I forgot to change the weight to 0.7. So now this is going to match what it's looking for. All right, here we go. Let's see how we did. The top one is the one I made and the bottom one is the one from Civit AI. Interesting. There's mine. There's theirs. Like in that case, the face on that one's definitely better. It's trying to put purple makeup on both of them, but it's only trying to put a purple bikini on their model. So maybe theirs is more flexible and mine is more trained than theirs. But look at this generation, the eyes are kind of funny. All right, one last thing before I finish out the video. A detailer for those. Generate. All right, here we go. This is with a detailer. Let's zoom in. See, mine looks pretty good. Looking at these two images here. Scroll down and look at the competition. Doesn't look as good. Interesting. Maybe because my LoRA has more data in it? Yeah, again, here, the next two seeds, mine looks better than theirs. I'll give you guys one last thing to look at before I close out this video. And this is some Supergirl generations. I got the prompt idea off of a picture on Civit AI. The model is called I Can't Believe It's Not Photography. I'll have it linked in the description so you guys can play around with this model using your generations. But in this one, I combined Amber Mid-Thunder with Anna Grace Barlow. On your screen, I'll show Amber Thunder on the left and Anna Grace Barlow on the right. Yeah, I'll do that in editing. And this is what it is with the Supergirl prompt that I modified only slightly, which is buried in here. There it is. See it? And obviously I have better parameters on it so it doesn't look all shiny and over sharpened or whatever you call it. I think it made a really interesting face. You guys tell me what you think in the comments about my Supergirl. But here's my end screen. When the video comes out for the scripts that I'm studying how to use to analyze LoRA's, I'm going to put that card here. So for now, that card's going to be empty. Down here is a video if you haven't watched it yet. It's a bunch of tricks for stable diffusion. Please employ these tricks into your generations. It'll save you time. And you can subscribe to the channel right here, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.